Neuro-linguistic programming, or how to rewire the mind. In past videos, I've spent a fair bit of time talking about how we create our external reality based on our own internal landscape. The internal landscape, in turn, is our thoughts, our beliefs, our patterns, our behaviors, our addictions in some cases, what we eat, what we watch, what we read, all of these things combine to create a palette, which then creates the external reality that we experience. So if it's out there, it's in here. If it's out in the external world, it starts inside of you. So if you're mindful and trying to live an intentional life, you might want to get very curious about what you're creating and how it's created. And that's where neuro-linguistic programming comes in. So let's start with the definition. Neuro-linguistic programming, otherwise known as NLP, is a psychological framework that studies the connection between neurological processes, that's the neuro, language, that's the linguistic, and behavioral patterns learned through experience. That's the programming. Now let's look at the core components here. Number one, neuro refers to your nervous system and how it processes information and experiences. That's your wiring. Nervous system, the mind, that's the wiring. Linguistic relates to how language and other systems of communication are used to organize thought and communicate with others. It's language. And I think it's also interesting, other systems of communication are used to organize thought and communicate with others. Programming. This is the important one. Programming involves the mental patterns, programs that we run unconsciously that determine our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors. Now, isn't that interesting? Programming involves the mental patterns and programs that we run unconsciously that determine our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. And we just talked about how thoughts, feelings, and behaviors create your external reality. So this programming bit of neuro-linguistic programming is the part that I'm focused on. Now, I do not purport to be an expert on NLP or any of the science behind it. To me, it's about this rewiring of the brain so that it has certain patterns that create new programs. So here's how I think about it. If you've ever seen I think it's a Japanese sand garden, so just sand, and you might see somebody with a rake and they're raking images, patterns into the sand. Now, I've even seen them where it'll be an electronic rake or electric rake, and somebody might take a chunk, like a scoop of the sand out, put it somewhere else, and over time, that rake will create its grooved pattern. Now, it's those grooves that I'm interested in because we want the brain to not have those grooves. We want the brain to be just like fresh sand, flat, unmarked. But through life experiences, the grooves get created and we fall into these patterns. So it's Thanksgiving week. You know it's going to happen, that you're at Thanksgiving dinner or maybe in the holidays, and somebody says something and somebody else has a reaction. And sometimes you think to yourself, well, those words maybe shouldn't yield that reaction. So what's causing that? And what's really causing that is that the person who's having the reaction has heard those words or similar words, or it put the mind into a program and it got into a rut and it just ran the program. So we want to get rid of the ruts. We want to get rid of the program so that we can respond and not react. So this is why the programming bit is so important. So how do we do it? Super easy. Number one, you have to release attachment to the programs and the thoughts and the outcomes. Just have to let it go. Just have to not attach to it. And then the second part is, when you see the thoughts that you're not attached to, you can observe them from a distance and you can reprogram them. And the reprogramming is actually super easy. This wonderful healer that I used to work with gave me this, And so I'm going to use her same phraseology. So she uses the word 3 times. She uses the words uncreate and destroy. So it might be something like this. I'm about to walk into a meeting. It's really important. And the mind runs a thought through, this is going to be a total disaster. I don't know if your mind, my mind is, the world is about to end. Like the sky is falling. The mind wants to do this a lot in my experience. So this would be a common occurrence for me. So then you walk into the meeting, and what do you, if that's your belief system, that's probably going to be the outcome. So we want to change it. So the first thing, get unattached to the outcome or the thoughts. Second part is I'm going to I uncreate and destroy, uncreate and destroy, uncreate and destroy all thoughts, patterns, beliefs, everything that supports the statement that this meeting is going to be a disaster, or that this transaction is going to fail, or whatever it is that the mind is saying. Uncreate and destroy 3 times, because the universe likes to work in threes. 3 sort of puts some extra power on it. And then sort of part 2 sub B is you need to replace that groove. So you might say something like, thought comes across, this transaction is going to be a failure. I uncreate and destroy, uncreate and destroy, uncreate and destroy all thoughts, beliefs, patterns, everything in my field, all my belief systems that relate to this thought. And I release it now. And I replace it with, I'm excited to see how this meeting goes. It's going to be fun. It's going to be an opportunity to grow. And I think it's going to be very successful. Uncreate and destroy 3 times, replace it with something else. Make sure you're unattached from the outcomes, unattached from the thoughts. And that's how I reprogram the mind, so that I can more consciously and intentionally, mindfully create realities that align more with the realities that I want to experience.